She said that the shamantaka jewel ends up being the greatest misery, even though it's the greatest fortune to have. So it's really hand in hand. It's like complete opposites. But we're gonna get right into it. Second. Okay. So, just to recap the last chapter. So after Akrura visited Hastinapur and he reported the condition to the Pandavas to Krishna, that there were further developments, the Pandavas were then transferred into a house made of lac and was later set ablaze. So everyone believed that the Pandavas, along with their mother Kunti, had been killed. And this information was also sent to Lord Krishna and Balaram. So after consulting together, they decided to go to Hastinapur to show sympathy for their relatives. So Krishna and Balaram, obviously their supreme personality of Godhead, they knew that the Pandavas were not killed. But in spite this knowledge, they wanted to go to Hastinapur and take part in the loss and what's going on there and mourning. So after arriving in Hastinapur, Krishna and Balaram, they went to go see and respect their elders, like Kripacharya, Vidura, Gandhari, Drona, and Bhishmadev. They were all other members of the Guru dynasty, and they were not sorry because they wanted the Pandavas and their mother to be killed, but some family members were sorry for the incident, and that's basically why they were in Hastinapur. So now we get into chapter 57. So now when Krishna and Balaram are away from the city of Dwarka, this is where the Shamantaka jewel starts coming in. Now there's a big conspiracy to take this Shamantaka jewel away from Satrājit. So Satrājit is the owner of the Shamantaka jewel for now. And he has a beautiful daughter named Satyabhama. And so now there was a chief conspirator, the one that really wanted to take the Shamantaka jewel, and that was Śatadhanvā. So now when Satrājit promises to give his beautiful daughter to various candidates, Śatadhanvā, he's like really happy. He's like, okay, I'm going to get the Shamantaka jewel. I'm going to get the daughter. And he has sinful intents in mind. This isn't something that like, oh, maybe I can acquire the Shamantaka jewel and give it to Krishna. This is all selfish and sinful. So we got to keep that in mind throughout the whole story. So now there's a change of plans. Satyabhama, the beautiful daughter, was actually given to Krishna along with the Shamantaka jewel. So now Satrājit, the father, he had no desire to give the jewel away with his daughter. And Krishna, since he knows people's hearts, he knows people's intents, he accepted the daughter, but he returned the jewel because he's not going to accept something that someone's not willing to give, not with love. In the same way, as devotees, if we're just following rules and regulations without knowing the purpose or knowing why or not even wanting to, Krishna is not going to accept it as an act of service to him. So now, after getting back the jewel from Krishna, he was satisfied. He kept it with him always. But in the absence of Krishna and Balaram's protection, now the conspiracy becomes bigger. Many other men are starting to be like, okay, we have to steal this jewel now. So these men include Akrura and Kartavarma. And they were devotees of Lord Krishna. So they're not like Śatadhanvā. They have right intents in mind, but even though that they were the devotees of Lord Krishna, they were still having, even though they had the good intentions, they were going to do it in a bad way. So they knew that Krishna wanted the jewel and Satyajit had not delivered it properly. and others joined the conspiracy because they were disappointed in not having the hand of Satyabhama. So all of these reasons are factoring into this big conspiracy. So now the question gets raised: why is Akura joining this conspiracy? Why is Kartavarma joining this conspiracy? Because this is a conspiracy led by many men to steal, to kill, to all the wrong things to do. And these were good devotees of the Lord. So why are they joining this? And the great authorities like Jiva Goswami answered this question beautifully. They said that although Akura is a great devotee, he is cursed by the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and because he was taking away Krishna from their midst. So even though this wasn't like a direct offense, it was just the love of the devotees, and it was just a silly curse. And similarly, Kartavarma, he was a devotee, but because of his intimate association with Kamsa, he got contaminated by sinful reactions. So this goes to show that the association we have in the material world is extremely important in the outcomings of how we're going to act. It affects our actions so deeply because you can downgrade in the path or upgrade depending on who you're with. It's as simple as that. Like if you are in the direct association of, suppose, your guru, of amazing devotees, you will also feel that and try to become that too. But being in the influence of people that are more on the materialistic side, obviously it's going to affect you as well. So now Śatadhanvā, he's inspired by all the members of this conspiracy. He's like, oh, so devotees are joining it, all these people, they want to take it. You know what? It's not going to be bad if I take it. He already had all these sinful intents in mind. And so now one night he enters the house of Satrājit and kills him while he's sleeping. So Śatadhanvā, he is a sinful man. And we can tell this because it was not an honorable battle where he was like, okay, let me fight you for this Shamantaka jewel. No, instead, he killed him while he was sleeping. There was no honor in it, and it was completely out of selfish intents. So when he entered the house to kill Satyajit, there were women there. They all cried very loudly. And despite of their protests, Śatadhanvā mercilessly butchered Satyajit without hesitation, exactly like a butcher kills an animal in the slaughterhouse. So that just shows that he had no emotion. He did not care. He killed someone and that's it. So since Krishna was absent from his home, his wife Satyabhama, that was present on the night Satyajit was murdered, she began to cry, my dear father, how mercilessly you've been killed. So now it's upsetting because now the dead body of Satyajit, it was not immediately removed for cremation. He was just preserved in a tank of oil so Krishna could come back and see what action to take and see what happened. And now Satyabhama immediately goes for Hastinapur to inform Krishna about what happened. She's going to tattletale and she's going to say everything. And now everyone else, they're in deep trouble. They already know what's coming. So now when Krishna is informed by Satyabhama of the murder of his father-in-law, he began to lament like an ordinary man. So what I got from this was Krishna, he is taking on an act like an ordinary man. He is showing emotions, displaying like there was tears in his eyes when he found out. He was playing the part of a human being. He expressed his full sympathy. And he started to lament, oh, what unhappy incidents have taken place? How could this have happened? And he decided to come to a conclusion that he's going to return to Dwarka. And he is going to begin to make plans to kill Śatadhanvā and take away the jewel. So Śatadhanvā, he was already an outlaw in the city. He already knows Krishna's power. So he's afraid. He knows that Krishna is lamenting and Krishna is going to come. And So now he's understanding that Krishna's plan is to kill him. He immediately goes to the shelter of Kritavarma. Now, Kritavarma says, I shall never be able to offend. This is quote unquote. He says, I shall never be able to offend Lord Krishna and Balaram, for they are not ordinary persons. They are the supreme personality of Godhead. Who can be saved from death if he has offended Balaram and Krishna? No one can be saved from their wrath. So, and he continues to say that although that he may be powerful, Krishna is 10 times more as what you could imagine. He many demons, they have not been saved from Krishna's wrath. And Jarasandha, he's been defeated by Krishna 17 times, and each time he's had to return fighting in disappointment. So he's just quoting examples and showing how powerful Krishna is. So now Satyavana, he's refused help from Kritavarma. So now he goes to Akura. He asks him for help. Now Akura says the same thing. Balaram and Krishna are themselves the supreme personality of Godhead, and anyone who knows their unlimited strength would never dare to offend him or fight with him. And he further says, Krishna and Balaram are so powerful that by willing, they create, maintain, and dissolve the whole cosmic manifestation. So they continue to describe Krishna's power, and they give an example that Krishna at the age of 7 years, he lifted the Govardhan hill and held up the mountain for 7 days, just like a child carries a small umbrella. And he's just citing that the whole cosmic manifestation is fully under Krishna's control. If he wants to kill, he will kill. If he wants to protect, he will protect, just like Nandini stated yesterday in her class. So Akura, he plainly informed Satyadvana that he would always offer his most respectful obeisances to Krishna and not try to get on the bad side, because he is the super soul. He created everything. So when Akura is refused to give him shelter, he has to come to a conclusion. He has to decide what to do. He is not going to get shelter, so he decides to give the Shamantaka jewel to him, and then he decides to flee. So he goes on a horse, 400 miles. He can run 400 miles a stretch and floods the city. And I just want to state that back then, it was so much more advanced than it is now in the age of Kali. We had horses that can run 400 miles a stretch. Even he could run as fast as a car today. Like, everyone could live well over the age of 100. And it just shows how we're downgrading and we're slowly getting worse and worse. Diseases are coming upon us. We had COVID for like quarantine, and that never went away. It's just going to keep getting worse. So back to the story. So now Krishna and Balaram are informed of the flight of Satyadvana, and they mounted the chariot and followed immediately. So Krishna, he is particularly angry with Satyadvana, and he wanted to kill him because he had killed Satyajit, and Satyajit was a superior personality, like a guru, or he was the father-in-law. So according to the Shastras, one who is Guru Duha, who has rebelled against a superior person, must be punished in proportion to the severity of the offense. So because Satyavana had killed his father-in-law, Krishna was determined to kill him by any means. Now, one might say, isn't that revenge? Is that's not what we're supposed to do in Krishna consciousness? Why kill someone else? First of all, he was his father-in-law. He was like a guru to many people. He was a very superior person. And also, Satyadvana, he was not a pious person at all. He did not have the right intents in mind. We were doing this strictly just based on his needs, and he was doing it very selfishly. So he was already a sinful person. So if you were not a devotee of the Lord, Krishna acts in ways such as this. He takes extreme action. So what happened? So Satyavana, as you know, he was running on the horse. His horse dies out of exhaustion in a garden house in Mithila. So now he doesn't have a horse, so he starts running. And in order to be fair to Satyavana, Krishna and Balaram also leave their chariots and start to follow Satyavana on foot. So that kind of correlates. Śatadhanvā, he killed Satyajit in his sleep. No honor, nothing at all. Krishna and Balaram, they had the chance. They could follow him on a chariot, kill him just like that. They dismount the chariot and they run after him and pursue him because he doesn't have a horse. It goes to show how the honor is still being placed and the respect is still being placed, even in the killing, even in a killing situation. So now when Śatadhanvā is running, Krishna takes his disc and cuts off Śatadhanvā's head. So after Śatadhanvā is killed, Krishna searches through his clothing for the Shamantaka jewel. And the jewel isn't found on his body because he had given it to, and Balaram suggests the jewel might have been kept in the custody of another man in Dwarka. You better return and search it out. Now, this is kind of just dialogue and happening. Krishna knows it all. Krishna knows exactly what happened, but he's playing the pastimes and he's still giving us the lessons through his pastimes. So now Krishna returns to Dwarka and immediately heads to the city of Mithila. So the king of after killing Śatadhanvā, Krishna returns to Dwarka, and in order to please his wife Satyabhama, he informs her of the death of Śatadhanvā. And even though he's still not doing this out of revenge, he's doing this because of Gurudwara, he's doing this because it is the right thing to do. He informs her that he has been killed, and she's like, okay, the killer of my father is dead. That is good. He pleases his wife. And according to religious principles, Krishna, along with Satyabhama, performs the ceremonies in order to honor the departed father-in-law. And so that's done. So now Akrura and Kritavarma, they were prominent members in the conspiracy to kill Satyajit. Now they found out that Krishna's mad. Krishna had killed Śatadhanvā, and they also learned that Krishna returned to Dwarka. So they immediately flee the city. They're scared now. They're like, okay, that can't be good. We might be next. So the citizens of Dwarka felt themselves threatened, that Akrura is now out from the city. Now, a background as to why they feel threatened of the absence of Akrura is because there's a superstition that that when he is not present, there's going to be famine, there's going to be natural disturbances. And the superstition, it first started when once in the province of Kashi, there's severe drought and no rain fell. And at that time, the king of Kashi arranged the marriage of his daughter, known as Gandhini, with Swaplaka, the father of Akrura. So after this, sufficient rainfall started happening and everything turned better. So Akrura, he is the son of Swapalaka. And so now he is considered equally powerful. So now people just believe that when he is gone, there's going to be famine, there's going to be drought. And that's just a background as to why they're now scared. So, and now the kingdom, so now that's the disturbance in Dwarka. He's gone. The rumor is spreading all throughout the citizens. And because of the absence of Akrura, now inauspicious things were indeed happening. And people began to see inauspicious signs due to the Shamantaka jewel as well, because he had the Shamantaka jewel. So now the Shamantaka jewel and Akrura are gone from the city of Dwarka. So obviously now inauspicious signs are starting to be present. So now Krishna hears about this, and Akrura is actually Krishna's uncle. So when he summons Akrura back, and he summons him back to Dwarka, and he gives him a welcome befitting a superior person. But since he's a super soul, he knows everything that is going on in everyone's heart. And he knew that everything that happened in the connection with Akura's conspiracy with Sattadvana. And therefore he began smiling and speaking to Akura, and he addressed him as the chief among munificent men. And he's still showing that respect. Throughout this story, we've learned that Krishna is still showing respect and honor no matter what. And he says, quote unquote, he says, "My dear uncle, it is already known to me that the Shamantaka jewel was left by Sattadvana with you. Presently, there is no direct claimant of the Shamantaka jewel, for King Satyajit has no male issue. His daughter Satyabhama is not very eager for this jewel, yet her expected son, as the grandson of Satyajit, would. And after performing regulative principles of inheritance, be the legal claimant of this jewel." So Krishna is indicating by the statement that Satyabhama was already pregnant and that her son would be the real claimant of the jewel, and he would end up certainly taking it from Akura one day, and that wouldn't result very nice. So he just said, he continues that this jewel is so powerful, and I know that you, and now even though in his heart he knew, he is still going to give examples and he's still going to state why he thinks. So he's saying that I know you're very pious and there's no objection that the jewel is being kept with you, because first of all, you are a superior person. You know, you have performed sacrifices on an altar made of solid gold just recently. You have enhanced your opulence. You have been giving out more than 2 mounds of gold. You've been getting more than 2 mounds of pure gold daily, and you've been distributing it profusely at sacrificial performances. And he's like, this has come so suddenly. You must have this jewel, and only you can have this jewel, because not many people, not a normal person can acquire this. Not a normal person can attain this and keep it. So now when Lord Krishna, he's still talking in friendly terms, he's still talking in sweet language. Now Akura is impressed. And he knew that nothing could be concealed with the knowledge of Krishna, but still he brings out the valuable jewel, covered by a cloth but shining like the sun, and he presents it to Krishna. And Lord Krishna takes out the Shamantaka jewel in his hand and shows it to all his relatives and friends present. But then he returns the jewel to Akura. So Krishna wanted this jewel. He wanted it. He was going to take it, but he still gave it back. He wanted to cure the rumors of all his citizens and all the people to present that, oh, without the Shamantaka jewel, there's going to be this. Without Akura being in the city, there's going to be drought. So he shows everyone it is safe. It is with Akura, and then gives it back. So, so now this story of the Shamantaka jewel is so significant, because it shows so many realizations of honor, of respect, of humbleness, and also of association, of what association gets to you. And it says that in the story of the Shamantaka jewel, it is said that anyone who hears this said story, or describes it, or simply even remembers it, will be free from all kinds of defamation and reactions of impious activities, and will thus attain the highest perfection of condition of peace. So that was the story. This was just a beautiful story, so I wanted to read it all for everyone. And it just goes to show, I think my biggest realization that I got from this, and this is also something that I personally have to work on, is the association aspect. Like Akura, he was a most amazing devotee, but even he started conspirating to take the jewel and all of this, and many devotees. And this was because of their association. If they had sinful associations with, suppose, Kamsa, that will still get to your head no matter how many years ago. It got to me that the people that I spend time with will really affect my spiritual life, and that I should start taking that to more value, and start going to every single Sangha I can that has devotees, so I can get the association of pure devotees, such as everyone in this call today. I'm so sorry if I made any mistakes today speaking. I am in no way qualified to say any of this. So please forgive me, and please give me your association so I don't end up like them. And yeah, that's the story, chapter 57. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Somya, thank you very much. But you made one mistake. You stopped speaking. I was wishing the story doesn't stop today. Thank you very much for describing this beautiful story. And you know how you talked about the power of association, right? They say that we are the average of 5 people we regularly associate with, because association shapes our desires. So how you explained that, you know, how Akrura, who was a great devotee of the Lord, he himself, you know, how he fell into bad association, or you know, how his desires were shaped because of his direct association with Kamsa, because he used to work for Kamsa. And Krishna's reaction to Satrajit's death, you know, that is a reminder to us, because in the previous chapter we read that how Krishna was blamed by Satrajit when the jewel was lost. So he was being blamed. So his reputation was stained, and you know, he was Satrajit was falsely accusing him without any he did not have any proof, and he blamed Krishna that the jewel is stolen by him and his brother is killed by Krishna. So you know, even then, after all this, also when Krishna hears that Satrajit is killed, he shows those human emotions that, you know, my father-in-law has passed away, and how he consoles Satyabhama, and you know, and how he comes and performs the final rites of King Satrajit. And also how Krishna gives a very fair fight to Śatadhanvā, right, when his horse. So that shows that Krishna gives you chances. He's being fair, you know, all the time. Even though you have done something wrong and he knows it, he's still giving you fair chances to save yourself. Okay, so yes, thank you very much, Somya. I will pause here, and I will ask everyone who would like to chime in and would like to share your thoughts, questions. Somya is here to answer everything.
Hare Krishna, Somya. Very
Hari
wonderful
Bol.
presentation. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mataji.
wonderful point you mentioned at last, association. Yes, that's very important. Very, very important. If we want to progress in our spiritual life, we need the best association to go back home, back to Godhead.
Mataji, in your association, I'll be fine. You're the best association, so obviously I'll be okay.
Oh, I need best association so I can give best association to others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as Shilpi Mataji said, Krishna was blamed, right?
Yeah.
So like Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He got blamed, right? So what we are very like minute part and parcel of Krishna. So yes, anyone can blame us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was my realization. Yeah, and the comment. Yeah, thank you so much. Wonderful class, wonderful class. Keep it up and keep in
Thank you,
good association.
Thank you, Mataji.
Anyone else? Any thoughts? Any questions?
Hare Krishna. Just a comment. Very well done, Soumya. It was awesome to hear you, and a good refresher from the Krishna book stories. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol. Thank you so much. I feel so
Hari-
unqualified to speak like this. Like, if anyone, please, if you have thoughts or realizations, please go ahead. I will also learn from them. And again, I'm so sorry if I made any mistakes. Haribo, Prabhuji.
Hari, great job. Oh, wow, it was nice. Very good. And thank you so much. Keep doing this good job, Beta. Very nice.
Thank
Fantastic.
you, Prabhuji. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Just want to add a comment actually. In this pastime, what actually happened, even Balaram actually accused Krishna. Actually he left Mathura almost for 3 years. This is the time when Duryodhan learned the fighting, the club fighting from Balaram during this time. He was able to please. So
Wow.
we can see, like, it's first thing is this symmetrical jewel actually represents, like, this opulence sometimes can be so, like, even Akrura, he's a devotee, right? How he can be pursued by, like, the artha. So we have to be very, very careful. Like, this material opulence is sometimes can take us away. So
Yeah.
we have to be always careful. Thank you, Sonia, for wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't even know that, Prabhuji. That's wow. That's this story has so many hidden gems in it, just like the Shamantika jewel. Like I can't believe that, like, something so valuable can be so miserable. And end up, like, it goes to show how, like, materialistic things never end up lasting, and they never, like, it always has a starting point and always has an ending point. It's never going to be completely blissful.
Hare Krishna, Samya. That was a wonderful, wonderful class. You kept us tuned in for 30 minutes. Just hearing your voice and understanding everything was beautiful. So thank you once again. Very good class. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Haribo.
All right. Thank you very much, Somya, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for joining and listening.